noite, very good night to all you. Aqui é Lorde A, da Rede Vamp.com para todos vocês no mundo inteiro. Hoje estou recebendo um nobre amigo diretamente da Inglaterra, músico, escritor. Ele é Rodney Orpheus. Vocês o conhecem do Cassandra Complex. Vocês também o conhecem do Sun God. Alguns de vocês de um livro maravilhoso chamado Abrahadabra, about the life of Aleister Crowley, the magic of Aleister Crowley. E hoje vamos bater um papo aqui super legal com ele aqui, estreando o nosso Rede Vamp Entrevista. Rodney, be very welcome, my noble friend.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone watching.
Welcome to Vox Vampyrica, Rodney. It's a great honor have you with us tonight in our virtual studio. Your music from the time of Cassandra Complex until today inspired my DJ sets, and you have countless fans on our community to this day, and we are very happy to be able to interview you. At the same time, a new generation of vamps are discovering Rodney Orpheus as a musician and a writer right now at this stand. Please, my friend, introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, I don't know how I can introduce myself any better than what you just said, but yeah, my name is Rodney, and as you said, I've been lead singer of the Cassandra Complex, producer for many years. We made a lot of records. I've done a lot of concerts. I've written some books, computer games. I do webcasting. Yeah, I like to be busy. And I've even played in Brazil. I played in Brazil a couple of times. And I visited there often. So I haven't visited anywhere else in South America, which is something I'd really like to do, but at least we're here virtually, so that's good.
And how is the coexistence of your writer's side and your part as musician? The first is always more introverted and observant, the writer. The second, the musician, is unveiled and exposed on the stage. How is it for you to be able to walk these dual facets of being?
That's a great question, because yes, I mean, I do think if you want to be a great writer, you need to be able to examine yourself and examine the world around you very closely. And that does require a very introverted mindset sometimes. You do need to be able to sit down quietly on your own and look inside yourself and be alone with your thoughts and let your imagination roam free. And even when I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to be a writer. That was from the beginning. I wanted to be a writer. And I was very introverted as a child, very introverted and quiet and shy. And then I became a teenager, and I discovered this thing called girls, who were just amazing and fabulous and wonderful. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to meet girls. How can I do that? I can be a rock star. That's a great way to meet girls. Be a rock star. But also, you know, I was growing up. I grew up in Northern Ireland, and at the time there was a war going on in Northern Ireland. It was pretty hard. And like most teenagers, I felt I had a lot to say, and I really wanted to transmit it. And the problem with being a writer is you sit alone in your room for weeks, months, writing. And I didn't want to wait months or years for people to hear what I thought. I had things I wanted to say now. You know, I wanted to say it immediately. And so music was a way to get instantly to other people. And also instantly, not just transmit to other people instantly, like we're doing now, but also getting feedback back from them instantly. And that level of emotional connection of instant, deep felt emotional connection was really, really important. And, you know, I was listening to, and I didn't know how to play music. I'm from a poor family. We didn't have any musical instruments. I didn't get any music lessons. I didn't know how to do any of this stuff, but I wanted to. And so I realized I needed to do two things. One, I needed to learn to play the guitar, and two, I needed to learn to be an extrovert. So I taught myself to be a rock star. I sat down with, okay, what do I need to do? And I made a little list of all the things you need if you want to be a successful rock star. And I learned all those things, and I did all those things. I bought a guitar for $25, and I learned 3 chords, and I wrote my first song. I bought a guitar, and I wrote my first song the next day. And played a concert like 3 weeks later. But I wrote a song every single day for 3 weeks. And so by the time the concert came along, I had a whole set. And that's how I did it. I made myself into the person I want. And that's something that I think is a really important thing for people to understand. You literally can be whoever you want to be. You just got to figure out who you want to be and what you want to be and how it is. And your personality, you know, the word personality, it's from a Greek word persona, and that means a mask. Your personality is a mask you put on. It's not something that's fixed, that's glued to you. You can change that any way you want. And so that's how I did that. And so I still to this day have a very introverted side and a very extroverted side. I mean, if anyone see me on stage, I'm like, "La!" I'm loud and you know, we're very extravagant and very in your face when we play live. But then when I'm here in the studio, I'm very, you know, concentrated and think very deeply about things. So that's a very long answer to your question, maybe.
No, I think it's a perfect question. Sometimes I'm a writer too, and this is the feeling. We pass a lot of hours, a lot of time alone, thinking, reflecting, and I'm a DJ too, so
right.
It's when I'm on stage, I play, I dance, even sometimes I sing, but no one it hurt me. That's a good thing, but it's very funny and it's very good. So let's go to our new question. Recently, Rodney, there have been many fantastic Cassandra Complex remixes developed by you that you have gotten even better. Cassandra Complex, for me, it's like wine. More time, more better yet. Are there plans for new albums and new songs after the pandemic is?
There's planned for a new album, new songs before the pandemic is finished. We're actually quite a way through the new album at the moment. I don't know, some people may have seen, we did a live stream 2 weeks ago for Stay In Fest, and I was singing live, and I did eight songs, and 4 of those were old songs, and 4 of them were brand new songs. So we have an album at the moment. I think we've got about 10 songs finished, or nearly finished for the album. I'm just doing the final vocals and the final guitar overdubs at the moment. We will probably do an album with I think my plan is to do a brand new single with 2 new songs next month, if all goes well. Very political, a very, very political song, and I want to get it out before the American election. And then there will be a new album with at least 7 songs, I think. That will either be sometime at the end of this year or the start of next year. And then then there's another couple of singles ready or we're working on for next year as well. So we've written a lot of new songs and we're still writing new songs. So we've been keeping really busy. I mean, even though we're in lockdown, I'm here. I have my own studio here at home, and so everything in here. Well, I've got, you can look around. You can see the keyboards and synthesizers and various other things around here. So yeah, this is my studio. So this is where we're working on new songs right now. And yeah, and I think the new songs are some of the best songs we've ever written. It's not like, you know, I never wanted to be like one of these bands that becomes a cabaret version of themselves, you know, that just plays the same old shit over and over again. These are totally new songs, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great, great record. So you'll hear those very soon.
Have you ever been a stage musician at Sister of Mercy performances? You are, Sister of Mercy performances. You are technical producer of the Kraftwerk shows. Do you have a good backstage stories from those moments to share today with our Vox Vampyrica fans?
But yeah, I've worked with a lot of other artists. I mean, yeah, I worked with the Sisters of Mercy. I toured with the Sisters of Mercy for a couple of years, I think. And I worked with a little bit with Kraftwerk. I produced a band called Future Sound London. And I did some work with... so as I was saying, I've worked with a lot of bands. I was on tour with the Sisters of Mercy for quite a long time. With the Sisters, I wasn't really a musician. I was more of a technical consultant. So I did, you know, Dr. Avalanche, the Sisters drum machine. I handled all the drum machines, and I was Dr. Avalanche for a while. So, and that was great because Andrew Eldritch and I were really old friends. We both lived in Leeds. We met before we ever played any concerts or anything. We were friends before we became, you know, rock stars, and we've continued to be friends for a long time. So I toured with them. I didn't play as a musician. I didn't play any records. I did play on Top of the Pops with them. There's a TV performance of Under the Gun where I played the keyboards with Andrew and Terry Nunn from Berlin. That was really good. And yeah, I worked a little bit with Kraftwerk. I helped them with some of the stuff they did on their when they were preparing their computers. You know, because I not only am a musician, I work a lot with music technology. You know, I help design music software, music hardware, and so on. So I worked for a lot of music companies like Steinberg and Presonus and companies like that in the past. So I've worked with quite a few different artists in different ways. And I've produced a lot of records for other bands like Girls Under Glass and groups like that. Future Sound London, so on.
Oh, it's a great life story.
Well,
yes. Well, for us here in Brazil, England, London, the London musicians, the European bands are kind of legendary. I
live in London now, but I also, in the past, I spent a lot of time. I lived for many years in Hamburg in Germany because I actually preferred the German music scene. I really like a lot of European bands, German bands, Swedish bands. And so I moved to North Germany and spent a lot of time there, and that was a great experience.
In addition, you have worked as producer for the sensational Girls Under Glass, Catastrophe Ballet, Die Krupps, Be Born Beton, and even Within Temptation on the song And We Run. Can you share some histories about all this?
Well, the Girls Under Glass record was Positive, which is a really great record, and that happened completely out of the blue. I didn't know the guys from Girls. I had just moved to Germany, and I got a phone call one day from this guy. He said, "Hi, I'm from Girls Under Glass, and we'd really like you to produce an album for us." I didn't even know who they were, and I said, "Well, let's talk about it. Do you want to come and visit me?" And they said, "Yeah, we'll be there, and how about we have breakfast?" And I'm like, "Okay." So the next morning they turned up with bags full of food, and they made breakfast in my house, and we sat over breakfast, and they told me about the record, and I said, "Sure, I'll produce it." And that was Volker and Axel from Girls Under Glass, and we produced a record, and we became very good friends. And then so later, when I needed a guitar player, I spoke to Volker and I said, "Do you want to play guitar for the Cassandra Complex?" And he was like, that would be great. And I said, okay, come to the rehearsal room. And he came to the rehearsal room. And I said, look, let's play this song, and here's how it goes. And he went, oh, no, I know how it goes. And he played every song from every record absolutely perfectly. He knew every Cassandra Complex song. And he knew them better than I did, and I wrote them. And so he was like, okay, you're in the band now. And then later we needed another keyboard player. So Volker said, why don't we ask Axel? So Axel from the keyboard player, he was bass player in Girls Under Glass. He became the keyboard player in the Cassandra Complex. So now Volker and Axel from Girls Under Glass are actually also in the Cassandra Complex. So, and they're working on the new album with me. And that we've been touring together for many, many, many years now. They're full members of the band. So that was a really great meeting. So it started as a produce our album, and it became a lifelong relationship, musician relationship. And they're really, really talented people. So in the Cassandra Complex is actually, there's 4 people, 5 people really. So there's myself, I'm from Ireland, and Andy, the guitar player who plays guitar and keyboards, he's from England. He lives in Manchester, the town where New Order and Joy Division and so on come from. And then Axel and Volker live in Hamburg in Germany. And then we have a sort of 5th invisible member, which is Martin, who does our videos and our lighting. And so when we have a stage show, we have a huge stage show with a giant video screen and lots of really exciting videos and lasers, and it's an incredible lighting thing. So we count Martin as a 5th member of the band, really. So
I recently see your name associated with the film industry and even the London Symphony Orchestra, but you also write on Car Wars supplements, and occasionally you destroy giant robots on Twitch.
Well, yeah, I mean, I love games. Oh, hi to everyone that's watching, by the way. I see some people in the chat, Valparda and Fabio, and hi. Nice to meet you all. Yeah, I mean, I've loved games and comic books, so you can see lots of games and comic books all around me at the background here. That's my VR headset up there and so on. And so even when I think I designed my first board game when I was 12 years old, and I used to have all the kids from all around used to come to my house and play games, and we would play lots of different board games, and I would design new board games. So then later, the very first thing I ever wrote professionally, I wrote for a game called Car Wars for Steve Jackson. I wrote some supplements. That was the first time I got paid for writing. They paid me money, and that was like, wow, I can write stuff and get paid. So I was writing different games, and I worked in some video games as well. And I'm still a big games player. So I play, and so I webcast sometimes. Sometimes I play games like I webcast. I play a lot of Grand Theft Auto Online and Elite Dangerous, Elder Scrolls, Mech Warrior. So I love video gaming. I love board gaming. I love RPGs. I also do a webcast gaming show usually on Thursdays. We haven't run it for the last couple of months, but I think maybe next month we will start again, or next week. So we play role-playing games online, and we webcast everything, and so it's a web show on RPG. So if anyone likes role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, they can tune into the show and watch us all play games as well. So games are good.
When I comment with the girls from our Vox Vampyrica and Rede Vamp fashion blog, they promptly asked to me about a German movie called Kiss My Blood.
Kiss My Blood,
yeah. My friend, has already featured in a vampire movie, quite underground, but well interesting. Please tell us a bit more.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. Yeah, Kiss My Blood is a legendary underground German vampire movie. And it was made quite a few years ago, but it was quite revolutionary when it was made, because up until then vampire movies were very, old, medieval, dark and mysterious. But this movie was written to be very modern, and it was like rave culture and, you know, very electronic music, and it was all very bright and exciting, and it was shot in Berlin, and it was to do with Berlin clubbing culture and stuff like that. So, and at the time that was very, very revolutionary. No one had really done something like that before. And so there was a big scene in a club, and they wanted, you know, like they wanted to have like an underground vampire club kind of thing, but they didn't want your typical gothic kind of club with people in capes and black makeup. They wanted something much more exciting. So at that time, I'd done an album called Sun God, which was based on voodoo music, and they loved that record. So, and one of the tracks on that is called Gay Day. It's very techno. It's the most techno thing I've ever done. And so we did that song on the movie in the club. We were the band in the club. And it's like there's a really strong performance, and, you know, we're like werewolves and stuff like that. You know, there's werewolves around us and things. And it was really exciting too. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, the movie disappeared. I mean, it just vanished because it was so underground. But I think that our part of it, I think, was brilliant. It was when we came on this, when you know, with doing the Sun God music, the energy was so exciting, and it's really the central part of the movie is that part. I wish I had more in the movie, because I think I could have brought a lot to the movie. But hey, you know, I'd like to do more movie work. I really would.
When you lived in the mythical city of angels, Los Angeles, you had a story called The Got Blood Dream, and still a poem called Poison Butterflies, published there in the collection Gótico. Seems to me that it was a very active time in your career as a writer, and also the front of Cubase, right? What good memories do you have of those times? There is new darker tales and poems of your own?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I lived in Los Angeles for, I think, 3 years, and I loved it there. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. I was there working, as you mentioned, on Cubase at the time. I worked for Steinberg in Los Angeles. And that was a great time because I got a loft apartment that was just it had a really, really huge room, and I had a big mixing desk in there and all my stuff. And I just had this big loft apartment. It looked like the Starship Enterprise. You know, it was fantastic. And I was working in LA, but for a German company, so I had to work at strange times. So I would stay up all night long making music and writing all the time, and clubbing. I did a lot of I mean, LA has some excellent goth clubs and industrial clubs, so I would go out clubbing a lot and have a really good time and go out dance like for hours dancing, and then drive home, make music, write, and it was very productive. It was very busy and exhausting, but it was very productive and a lot of fun. And yeah, I wrote Gothic Blood Dream was a short story that I wrote. Was actually literally what it says. It was a dream. I have very, very vivid dreams, and I've taught myself to write down my dreams in the morning. And that story was literally a whole dream. And I woke up with this, I dreamed whole stories, like everything, all the people, the characters, everything in my head. And I woke up and I had the whole story in my head, and I just ran to the computer and started writing. And the whole story was written like that, just in one go, boom. It was just me describing the dream as closely as I could, because it was so, and it's very scary. It's a really horrific story. And the dream was really scary. I woke up, I was like shaking. It was one of the scariest moments. But because it was so powerful and so scary, I wanted to write it down, so I did that. And a lot of my songs are like that too. I mean, I mentioned the Sun God album, which I just re-released and remastered. All of that album was written in dreams as well. I wrote all the lyrics in dreams, and when I would wake up, I would write them down. So it has a very dreamlike kind of power to it, because literally all of it was written from dreams. I didn't write anything consciously. It all came from somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and a lot of the poetry, I was writing a lot of poetry at the time too. So a lot of that was collected in the Gothic 2 compilation. And yeah, it's really good. And that, for people who, that's a very rare book now. But all of that poetry and short stories, they're all on my website. If you go to rodneyorpheus.com, they're all there, and you can read all the stories on rodneyorpheus.com. I just make them available free for anyone who wants them. So if you want to read some cool poems and weird Gothic poems and horror stories, go to my website.
Well, I will look for that. And yes, lucid dreams and spiritual connections that are very inspiring, terrific dark muses around all us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, sometimes one of my books, recent books called God's a Dragon, starts with some lucid dreams and some inspirations from a dark muse. And the book was published last year. And his creation process was very singular, very particular. And yes, many parts of this book it came from my diary of dreams, and it's a bit hard to put in the words some of this experience.
For sure, but that's a writer's job.
Yes, it's a kind of a prophetic, mystic, like say some friends here on Labo from PUC, Catholic University from São Paulo. Are there plans for a new album by your band or project, Sun God? Tracks like Eisen and Leiba excited our Vox Vampyrica audience many years ago. Did you know that the album's inspiration came at the time of your initiation to voodoo? The project involved some Project Pitchfork members, Pink Turns Blues members. Please tell us a bit more about that time, about Sun God. Was one of my favorite projects of you.
Well, thank you. It's one of my favorite projects too. I mean, I really love that album. So anyone who hasn't heard the Sun God album, it's on Spotify right now, and it's on my Bandcamp as well. So if you just look for Rodney Orpheus Sun God, you'll find the record. Yeah, I mean the reason I wanted to do that record was because for many years I was making Cassandra Complex records. And we were on tour with the Cassandra Complex, and we toured all of the time. I mean, all of the time. I was on tour something like 200 to 250 days of the year. I was on tour. That's like, there's only 365 days, and I was on tour for 250 of them. We toured and toured. We played all the time. A lot of concerts. Hundreds of concerts. And writing songs for the Cassandra Complex, making the records. I was producing other bands, and I was getting really burnt out. It was just too much. It was too much. I was making this industrial rock, Gothic music all the time, and I needed to have a break. And I didn't. And so I just went away, and I thought, okay, let's make a record that's completely different than everything before. No guitars, no rock drums, no bass guitar. And also, I'd always been the only singer. So I thought, I'll have another singer as well. And I'll make it very percussive. And like you said, I'd been doing a lot of, I'm a very spiritual person. And I'd gone to New York and to New Orleans and became involved in voodoo and Santeria. I'd also gone to Brazil and met some people there doing macumbi and things like that. And this was a very big interest for me. And so I decided I would make a record that would be like, one of the things that's interesting about religions like voodoo and Santeria is that they're very synthetic in that they were originally very, very old religions from Africa. And then they were translated, they were brought by the slaves to the New World and modified and changed and became a very new religion. So it's really new spiritual ideas based on very old spiritual ideas. And that interested me a lot. And I liked the idea of taking old African rhythms and combining them with modern electronics and synthesizers. And also lots of natural sounds, but treating them electronically. So the album has like animal sounds and, you know, like bees buzzing and horses and stuff like that are all translated through electronics. And I was making it out of natural sounds. And how it really started, how that started, I was in New York. I was visiting a friend in New York, and I was in the street. And I was just standing in the street. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was sitting in the street waiting for my friend who was late. And I heard this drumming coming from the distance. And it was like very African kind of drumming. And so I thought, this is amazing. I've got to find out what this is. So I walked along the street and through little alleyways, and I found this little store. And the music was coming out of this really loud drumming coming out of the store. And I went, and they had a big ghetto blast there. One of those giant New York ghetto, you know, cassette decks, and it was playing these rhythms and chanting and stuff. And I went to the person in the store and I said, "This is incredible. Can I buy this record?" And they said, "No, this is the only one we have. We can't sell it to you." And I'm like, damn, I really want to know more. Who made this record? What is it? And they said, "Well, the guy who made it's in the store. He's standing right behind you." And I'm like, really? And I turned around, and there's this big old man there. Huge, big guy, and you know, obviously Latino. He was Cuban. Turned out he was from Cuba, and his name was Baba Raul Canizares, and he was a Santeria Babalao, and his father had made these recordings in the 1950s of African or black people working in the fields and performing Santeria rituals, and these were very old, like before any of this became popular. And so we started talking, and he ended up initiating me into Santeria, and he gave me some of these tapes. And so I learned all the rhythms from these tapes, and I redid the rhythms on a drum machine. And so it was the original ancient African rhythms, but done on a modern drum machine. And so I'm not a very good drummer. So I got Marcus Gilches, who was a drummer in Pink Turns Blue, and he and I programmed all the rhythms into the MPC drum machine. And that's how we started. And so we would work in the morning and the afternoon. We would work and we would program in all these rhythms and these samples of nature and things like that. And then in the afternoon, in the late afternoon, I had a bed in the studio. So I would go to bed and go to sleep about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon and go to sleep for an hour or two. And I would think about the rhythms and the gods of Santeria and the spirits and dream them and meet them in a dream. So I would dream, and then they would tell me all the lyrics. So I would wake up and write the lyrics down, and then in the evening we would record the vocals of the lyrics. And that was the whole day, and we would do a whole day like that and just keep recording and recording and recording and recording. But I wanted to have a female voice as well, because I want the female presence is very important for a spiritual religion like that. You know, the goddess is very important. So I knew Patricia Nigiani, who was in Project Pitchfork at the time, and also in her own band, Aurora Sutra. And Patricia is also a very spiritual person, so she wanted to get involved. But she didn't know anything about this, but she came along and would listen to the rhythms, and we would go into a trance. We had the studio with candles in the dark, very mystical, and then we would sing together, and we would create these really ethereal, atmospheric duets, and that was the Sun God record. So that's how it happened, and it's very different than any other record I've made, but it's really powerful and uplifting, I think. So
it's a very beautiful album, and rich. spiritual layers, and I put that songs to play. I dark my room and I keep meditating, listen. All this, it's a good travel to wide places, the kind of place where we must go and bring some marks, some new visions. And man, congrats to you and all your musicians to Sun God. It's amazing. It's truly amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I remastered it just at the start of this year. I did a remastered version because, and the remaster is even better than the original. I mean, I'm really, really happy with the remaster because I was able to, with the modern technology I have, I was able to really bring out a lot of the sounds that weren't really clear, that were in the background before, much more obvious now. So some people who knew the original record, when they heard the remaster, I had people asking me like, "Oh, did you re-record this? Did you add new things?" And I'm like, "No, there was nothing new added. It's just that you can now hear how because the music was very complex, but you can hear everything so clearly now, and it's so much brighter and stronger, and so I'm really happy with the remastered version. So yeah, listen to it on Spotify or get it on Bandcamp. If you go, we have a Cassandra Complex Bandcamp page, so that Cassandra Complex Bandcamp has also all my solo work and some other stuff that I produced and so on. So there's a lot of really good records there, and all the remasters are there.
Oh, good. I will check it this night.
Okay.
Okay, and we are talking about magic, the occult, and the spirituality, were very important in your life. I still remember the pagan news with Phil Hines and you, and I also remember that you founded on OT, your lodge in Germany, right?
Yeah, I've been, like I said, I've been a very spiritual person for a very long time, been very interested in magic and the occult. And particularly, well, one of the main things I've been interested in is the works of Aleister Crowley. And so, yeah, I wrote 2 books about Aleister Crowley's magic. I wrote Abrahadabra, which is like a beginner's guide to Thelemic magic, because a lot of people are very interested in magic and very interested in Aleister Crowley, but many of the books are very dense and very difficult to understand and very complex. And Crowley was a great genius, but like a lot of geniuses, he found it very difficult to speak to the average normal person, you know? So I tried to write a book that would be easy. So anyone could pick it up and open it up, and it would say, "Here, go do this thing. Just do this, and that's all you need to do." Because magic isn't actually difficult. That's the biggest secret of all. You know, most of the people who are like, into the occult or whatever, like, "Oh, it's very complicated. I'm a very dark secret magician that knows, and I know everything, and blah 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 blah." It's not hard. It's easy. It's not hard at all. And all these guys who make this big mysterious blah blah about it, it's just bullshit. It's bullshit. But they do that because they want to appear like, "Look at me, I'm so much smarter than you, I'm so much better." And they use it to try and for their own ego. And that's not what it's about. So I wrote a book called Abrahadabra, which was designed to be a book that anyone could pick up and read it and do the things in it and be successful and do their thing. And it's been a very, very successful book. I mean, we published it, I don't know, 20 years ago? More than 20 years ago, 30 years ago maybe. And I wrote it when I was quite young. And it's now like the classic sort of beginner's guide, really. So if anyone's interested in that kind of stuff, interested in Crowley, that's a good book to start with. And then I wrote a second book, which is called Grimoire of Aleister Crowley, which is a more advanced book. And that's a book of magical rituals you can do as a group, which you can't too much at the moment because of lockdown. But It's designed because, you know, people, you know, it's okay. The first book gives you lots of things to do at home by yourself. But if you want to really feel it and really understand it, magic also needs to be a community thing. You want to work with other people and react with other people. And that was something I also learned a lot from the Afro-Caribbean traditions, like Santeria and Macumbe and so on, is that it's a community. It's part of the whole essence of a community. It's not just, you know, one of the things I like about it is that, you know, the typical Western religions like Christianity and Islam, it's one guy standing telling you what to do. You must do this. You don't do this, you know, and it's very fascistic. And it's a big, strong leader and a big, strong God, and you have to do what you're told. Whereas with these African designed religions, it's not like that at all. It's where people come together and make music and be together. And that for me was, you know, I'm a musician. Music is spiritual, and any great spirituality should be musical. You know, you should be able to dance to it. Religion you can dance to.
Yes, this is the big deal. This is the great point. Spirituality is spiritual. It's dance. It's music. It's about music, and this connect us with the all. The oneness. I'm not the English words.
Sure. I absolutely, yes. Yeah, it's through that music, through that dance that we understand, and we emotionally connect to everything around us. And that's why I make music. That's why I love it, because, you know, when I'm standing on the stage and I'm singing about something that I felt and that was important to me, and I look into the audience and I see some little girl there, you know, with tears crying because she feels it too. And that's like the best feeling in the world, to know that you can make such a deep emotional connection with another person. It's a beautiful, magical thing to be able to have someone feel what you feel. It's a very special moment, and that's why I started doing this, and that's why I keep on doing this, because that's so important for us.
Yes, this is exactly what connects, and it's beautiful. And Rodney, I'd be curious to mine. How did you approach Aleister Crowley works, books? Did you appreciate the Tarot of Thought? It's one of my favorite deck of tarot decks in the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a truly amazing one.
Well,
please tell us a bit more about Crowley works, how you approach it.
Well, I discovered Crowley when I was very young. I think I was about only 14 or 15. I was very young when I discovered Crowley, and I was completely blown away by the ideas and the feelings and how revolutionary it was. You know, like Crowley is to religion what Einstein is to physics. You know, he was just, I mean, he was an asshole, but he was a genius asshole, you know. And so I studied Crowley's works all the way through my teenage years. I mean, I would go to school, and when the teacher was like trying to teach something else, I'd be reading a Crowley book on the school. But the thing about it, it's not about reading, it's about doing, you know. And, you know, Crowley has a famous statement everyone knows: do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, right? And the first word of that is do. It's not read what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. It's do. It's very active. It says you should be doing things. And that was very inspirational to me, because that's what made me do stuff. I started doing stuff. I did all this stuff. Do what I want. So I figured, what do I want to do? What is my will? I want to be a musician. I want to be a writer. I want to do these things. So I did them. Do what I want. And so that's always been my approach. It's very hands-on, very practical. And if you read my books, the books don't give you lots of theories like, oh, this means this and that means that, blah, 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 blah. I don't care about that shit. What I care about is, can you do it? Can you make things change the world? If you can't, people used to say, I used to do interviews when we first started, and people would say, well, do you really think you can change the world with your music? And I'm like, yes, hell yes, of course I can change the world with my music. Otherwise, why would I bother? I want to change the world. I want to change your world. And I have done. And that we should all be doing that. And so that, to me, is what magic's about. It's another way to change yourself and change the world around you and have an effect. Because everyone can have an effect, nobody is powerless. And we can all make ourselves into something that makes the world a better place. And that's very important, So to me, like, magic is almost like a political act in that way. So.
Yes, affects and change the words of for a more better world with more freedom, liberty for all us. That's a good point. That's a good thing.
Yeah. But I see in the chat Balparda saying music is the greatest magic of all. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I agree, Balparda. That's why I'm a musician and a magician. So yeah.
Yes, Balparda is my longtime friend, and he'd have a streaming every Friday here on Brazil, 9 p.m. called Friday I Am in Love. I suspect that you would appreciate this is a kind of a radio show where he translates to Portuguese classic songs, 80s, and romantic music.
Great. Sounds good.
Yes, it's a great. Oh, e Balparda, eu descobri isso agora, que tinha um chat aqui. Valeu, ainda bem que eu vi sua mensagem aqui piscando. Yes, I'm discovering with the string years, and I'm quite new on the streaming universe. 6 months ago, I was a writer, a DJ. So as I DJ, I go to the club, I play, I sing my outs, and that was amazing. So came the pandemic, and in 1 week, I need to learn how to make a streaming, how to use a chroma key, how to use the controllers. Oh,
me too. Yep. So that's
life
why
changed very fast to me.
I have my stream controller right here. See.
Oh. Okay. This is okay. November. I think use something like this looks very good. Good idea, Rodney.
Yeah, when I'm streaming myself, I have a control panels here, so I can change all the scenes and bring different videos around. And when I did the live stream 2 weeks ago, I just had someone tell me earlier that people thought it was pre-recorded because they couldn't believe that anything could be live. And because I was triggering all the videos live and singing live and triggering the synthesizers live, and people thought it wasn't possible, but it was like, and so you could see, because you can't see what's happening below down here, everyone thought it was just me going da 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 da. But down here, it's like,
yes. This defines very well my situation with keyboard, mouse.
Yeah, well, I've got keyboard, mouse, joystick, stream controller, and many synthesizers and drum machines. So.
Well, it's good. It's good share. It's good to share with someone who understands the situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have one more question.
Sure,
Yes.
go ahead.
Please, Rodney, tell us a little more about your book, Abrahadabra, Understanding Aleister Crowley, Dilemmas Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Are there chances for a Brazilian Portuguese edition?
That's a good question. There is a Spanish edition, and it's been translated into Polish, Spanish, Polish, Russian, I think, and maybe Italian as well. So it's been translated into quite a few. And German, of course. It's been translated into quite a few languages, but not yet in Portuguese. And I would love to have a Portuguese version. But not yet. Not yet. But if your viewers do speak Spanish, there is a Spanish version. So at least that's something. So you don't have to be an English speaker to read it. And the Spanish translation, I'm told, is very good. I mean, I can't read Spanish, but other people whose opinion I respect told me that it's a very good translation. The German translation is very good too, and the Polish translation. So I'm very happy that it's in all those languages, but no Portuguese yet. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And I heard you were in Brazil many years ago for some activities related to Dilemma. What are your best memories of our Brazil? Did you visit some cities? What you see, what you remember?
Yeah, I love Brazil, actually. It's one of my favorite countries. And I'm always trying to get another reason to go back there. So I've been to Sao Paulo, and I played in Sao Paulo. Wonderful concert, great audience in Sao Paulo. Really, really great people. And I've been to Rio de Janeiro several times. And also, I loved Rio. It's a really fun city. It's one of my favorite cities, I think, is Rio de Janeiro. Those are the only two Brazilian cities I've been to. But last time when I came over, I stayed with some friends because normally if I'm playing concerts, I just see the big city. I get to play one night. Maybe I get a day the next day to see a couple of things, see the big Jesus or whatever. And then woof, and then I have to go to the next concert. And I hate that because you can't really understand a people and a culture in 2 days of playing a concert. And for me, it's very important not just to go there and show them who I am, but I want to find out who they are. And so last time I went to Brazil, I stayed for, I think, 3 weeks maybe. And I had a friend who lived down the coast, maybe I think 20, 30 kilometers south of Rio on the coast. And so I went down, I stayed there in his house and just wrote and, stayed in his house and wrote. And the next door was a salsa school. So all day long it was, they were playing salsa music. It was a salsa school next door. So it was so I got to learn a lot about Brazilian salsa because every day I could hear them practicing. And that was really interesting. And then also, I would go and take a boat and go out around some little islands and really see Brazil, that's not just being a tourist and staying in a hotel, And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's a really amazing place. And so, yeah, I really hope we can play there again sometime. I really want to go back because it is one of my favorite countries. And I really desperately want to play some other countries in South America because I've never seen other South American countries. And we've had people interested from Argentina, from Mexico. There's been a lot of interest from other Latin countries, but it still never happened. I mean, some people tried to get us to play Mexico 2 or 3 times, but it never happened. So we will see. Maybe when lockdown is over and the new album is out, who knows? I would love to do it. So if anyone wants to anyone wants to make a concert, I am ready to get on a plane next year. So
yes, that's very good. Maybe, okay, maybe you must play in one of our future events when this pandemic goes out.
that would be wonderful. I would love that.
Yes. We have a party called Carmilla Gala Nocturne. In English must sound like this. In Portuguese, it's Carmilla and Noite de Gala Sombria. It's inspired on Sheridan Le Fanu vampire history, and happens in a 150 years mansion, old mansion, beautiful, with Persian details everywhere.
Nice.
Yes, we can't wait this pandemic goes out to return to the night and our parties.
For sure.
Rodney, I think that we are in the last moments of this interview. And please leave a special message for our audience.
Leave a special message. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of special message to leave. I mean, I think there've been quite a lot of special messages in this interview so far. I'd just like to say, I mean, even though we are disconnected right now, I mean, I'm so happy to have these live streams, because the good thing is that we're connecting in a different way, and that's a really brilliant thing. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing live streams myself. And I will be doing a lot more live streams in the next few weeks. So please, go to my Twitch page, which is Rodney418, twitch.tv Rodney418. If you follow me there, and also on Facebook, please, if you're watching, if you're not a friend on Facebook, hit the friend button. Add me as a friend on Facebook. I'm very happy to have everyone as a friend. And I'll be doing more streaming and more talking on Facebook, and I always love to meet new people, and so please do follow me there, and hopefully we'll have some really cool new music for you very soon. I think on the 29th of September there's a special stream for goths for animal sanctuaries, and we're going to be playing for that, because that's a very important cause. So yeah, stay with it, and stay together. It'd be good.
Perfect, my noble friend. I wish thank you so much by your time, your presence, as your long-time fan. It's a great honor pass this time with you here on my Rede Vamp Entrevista, and well, it's truly amazing. We share some ideas, listen directly from you about your acts, your life, your visions. And Rodney, thank you so much by staying with us this evening.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, some months ago, we play your video on our Fantasy Party online, and you conquered a new generation of fans. There was a cover of Joy Division.
Ah, In a Lonely Place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Truly amazing one. Was great.
Oh, I wish you were here with me now. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking I want to do sing that again sometime live. So I think for the next live stream, I might do that one again, because that video that you showed, that was the first live stream I did, like literally the very first. And I just bought the green screen that you can just see up in the corner. There's a green screen up there. I had just bought that, and I never used one before. I just put it up, and I thought, and I put it all together, and I thought, let's see if I can cover this song. And I had the song, the backing track, but And so I just pressed the button and said stream and started singing, and that was literally the first take, completely live, no rehearsals, nothing. So yeah, Balparda asks, is your nickname on Twitch Rodney418? Yes, it is. Rodney418 on Twitch, that's me. So yeah, so that In a Lonely Place was literally the very first time I ever sang it live, and so I really want, and it's a beautiful song, and it was actually the last song that Ian Curtis wrote, the very last song he wrote, and it was never recorded by Joy Division because he died before they got to record it. And so it was the B-side of the first New Order single, or actually the double, it was the other side of Ceremony. So New Order recorded it with Peter Hook on the vocals, I think. And it's such a beautiful song that I really wanted to do it in, and it was the anniversary of Ian Curtis's death when I did it, so I wanted to do it on that day. To remember Ian Curtis, so it was a very emotional day for me, you know. So
was a great song, was a great interpretation.
Thank you.
And please,
yeah, I mean, I'm glad that people like the cover versions. I think I'm probably once I'm finished with the new Cassandra Complex album, I think I'm going to do an album just of some cover versions, like In a Lonely Place and some of the other songs we do, because I enjoy singing so much, and people seem to like it. So let's see, if people like In a Lonely Place, then I hope there'll be more of that coming soon.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking here. Well, you are interviewing Rodney Orpheus. Oh, come on, please hint if he cannot sing the song Pencentury. It's a great song.
Penny Century?
Pencentury, yeah.
Yeah, that's that was it's a really lovely song that I wrote. I mean, that's actually from a comic book. You know the comic book? No? Well, I'm a big comic book fan. You can see behind me there's lots of comic books and over there and so on. I love comic books. I learned to read when I was a little kid from reading comic books. And there's a comic book called Love and Rockets by the Hernandez brothers.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, Love and Rockets. You know this comic by the Hernandez, Gilbert and I can't remember. And there's a character in that book called Penny Century, and I really like this character, and so I wanted to write a song about her, a love song. So I wrote a love song to a comic book character, you know. And the idea, the song is like you know, when you're in love with someone. Or when you really like someone, you idealize them in your head, you know, in your mind, you make an ideal that you're in love with. So I made a comic book character who was an ideal and wrote a love song to that. And so it's like, yeah, Penny Century, I love you, don't go away, come back and stay, Penny Century. Yeah, that's the song.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's a great song. Yeah, and the song have a long history in the Gothic dance floors on Brazil.
Wow, it's a very odd song because the song seems very simple when you listen to it. But it's actually really complicated to play. It's very, very hard to play. Like the dum 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 dum. The bass line is very, very complex. So it's this song that sounds very simple and very like just a simple acoustic guitar song. But it's actually one of the most complicated songs we've ever written. So yeah, but yeah, I love that song. It's so much fun.
Yes. Well, Rodney,
maybe I should do a live version of that.
Oh, idea.
Maybe I could live stream that. Yes. I haven't played that song in a very long time, but that might be fun.
Oh. Well,
you've given me an idea now.
Loyal Brazilian fans ask for you.
I'm making a note right now while we're talking. I'm actually I'm making a note to see if I can see. This is. I'm making a note because I think I have an idea of how to do it now. You've given me an idea. See, this is I'm always picking up ideas all the time. So now you've given me an idea for how to live stream that. So I'm just making a note for how to do it. So maybe you'll hear a live stream of Penny Century just for you guys.
Oh, we will love that. Oh, well, I'm here. And, well, if you play Penny Century, please dedicate, if you remember, say, oh, this is from Lord to your beloved Chandra Sahasra.
You will know. You'll know it's for you. We will see. Well, no promises, but let me see what I can do. Maybe I can make it work.
Okay, we are here. We are here waiting. So, my noble friend, it's always a long adieu, a long goodbye, but occurred to me something here. Well, you live in England, and you're a fan of comic books. I'm a fan of comic books too, and England is very renowned worldwide, but two great comic books authors, Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore. Did you already find some of them?
My favorite comic book writer from the UK is Grant Morrison, who's a very good friend of mine.
Morrison,
he's Scottish, not English. He's from Scotland.
Scotland, yeah.
But yeah, Grant Morrison is great. You can see, I don't know if you can make it out, but there's a big white book behind me there. I'm just pointing at it. That's The Invisibles by Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
That's my favorite comic book.
Wow, numbers. Oh, this is amazing.
That's a very big book.
Yeah, that's
that's the complete collected works of The Invisibles by Grant Morrison. That's the best comic book.
Wow. So
that's my tip. All right. Is that it for tonight?
Yeah.
All right. It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rodney. It was a great honor to have you with us this evening or this night. I don't know when my audience is watching, where you are. But, Rodney, thank you. I hope for you more times here at Rede Vamp Entrevista, Rede Vamp Interviews. And let's party. If you have a time on your schedule, please join us Saturday, 26th of September on Fantasy Party Online, okay?
Okay. Sounds like fun. All right, my friend. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Se você gostou deste vídeo, deixe um curtir, compartilhe com pessoas afins e visite sempre o nosso portal redevamp.com.